today. Great. Now let's move on to our final speaker for today. He's all prepped up, looking really sharp for all of us today. He is none other than Muhammad Prasad bin Hanif. Right, he's a certified master NLP practitioner and professional business coach. Right, he's a keynote speaker in the areas of leadership, integrity, and technology. Well, he has coached over 500 entrepreneurs across his career in the arena of sustainable development. Well, today, Muhammad Prasad has spoken on sustainable development issues locally and internationally, on technology, development finance, as well as poverty eradication. He's a certified trainer and speaker by the ASIM SMEs, which is the Eco Innovation Center, ASIEC, as well as the coach. He's a coach for entrepreneurs competing in Ecoton 2021. He's a consultant for graduate entrepreneurship for the Ministry of Higher Education, and he is a proud member of MAPS. With that introduction, there is so much to expect from our next speaker, who's going to end tonight's session with a bang, I believe. The lead speaker is the title of his speech, and he is here to speak to us today. Let's put our hands together and welcome Muhammad Prasad Hanif on a Friday night. Here we go.
Hey, how is everyone doing today? It's 10 minutes to the last presentation. Can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. Right. So is everyone still awake, or you're okay? Everybody's still okay?
Yes.
Friday night.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You've got another 10 more minutes, and you're going to be with me for just 10 more minutes. Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. And thank you very much for Kish for that wonderful introduction. Though it was a little bit overboard, but that's okay. That's okay. I can accept that humbly. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start off with a little bit of my past. 2019. I'm going to talk about 2019. 2019 was a fantastic year for me. I tell you, I had over 20 staffs. Training and consultancy contracts up the yin and yang. I got training and consultancy from various organizations, institutions. I was living the life. On the same year, I was actually also appointed to become a Secretary General of a national, very large organization. Then 2020 happened. Within the first 9 months of lockdown, I was reduced from 30 contracts to 2 contracts, 20 staffs to 1 staff. Fast forward another 3 months, just 3 months, fast forward, total of 12 months. I had 0 contracts and no staffs. My company was back where it was in 2012. It was a hard reset, very hard indeed. And this did not only happen to me, it happened to countless other SMEs as well around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, what I wanted to talk about today is how we are going to weather through this as business leaders, as entrepreneurs. The COVID-19 pandemic has been a wake-up call, prompting governments, businesses, investors, various stakeholders to pay greater attention to environmental, social, and governance issues. And all these stakeholders were requested to chart a sustainable recovery. Now, the pandemic has revealed not only our vulnerability as a society, but it has also revealed the critical importance, ladies and gentlemen, the critical importance of leadership for sustainability. We saw many shifts in vulnerable segment of society. 150,000 SMEs in Malaysia shut down within the last year. 1.2 million jobs lost. Now the B40 is now being called B50, right? And you'll be hearing this very often within the next few months. If at all, COVID-19 is a wake-up call for sustainable leadership. While businesses today move through the recovery phase, and we are all moving through the recovery phase, and most of us don't even know what recovery phase we are today, whether it's phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, but we are recovering. Business leaders and entrepreneurs need to look at the new reality in which sustainability of their businesses will be an imperative focus for their business. Business leaders will need to relook at their strategy and business model. So today, I will be talking to you on how leaders, such as yourself, entrepreneurs who are leading organizations, whether they be small or whether they be big, how they can actually build a strategy and business model. And we're not going to be covering everything, but at least some underlying points. Now, the underlying to an effective business strategy is that business leaders need to look at incorporating a clear path towards meeting their targets in terms of sustainability of their business. Now, the first thing that they need to be clear of, now you have to have a big reset. The last 2020 and 2021 probably have actually shook the fundamentals of our businesses. Whatever industry you're in, if you don't compare yourself to Jeff Bezos, don't compare yourself to Elon Musk. There's only one Elon Musk in 6 billion people. There's only one Jeff Bezos in 6 billion people. You can't compare yourself to them. It's the masses that we're talking about. So as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, the first thing that you need to know is that you have to have clarity in your vision. You have to be able to picture where you're going to be. You have to have a reset. After that reset, you're going to have a big picture. Now you have to be able to feel. You have to be able to hear that picture. You have to be able to see that picture, where you're going to be. And once you have that vision embedded in your mind, you have to have a clarity in terms of how you're going to communicate that vision. Because you can have the best picture in the world and you can have clarity, you can be crystal clear on where you're going to be. But if you don't know how to communicate that vision to your followers, they will have no idea where we're going. It's as simple as that. Now, if I were to give you an example of how you're going to describe an obscure superhero, just like Jackson mentioned earlier, some obscure superhero that you've never heard of, if I ask you to describe him, you will not be able to communicate that effectively because you can't picture how that superhero looks. It's similar to that as well. Now, that's the first thing that any business leader needs to know. The underlying to an effective business strategy is that you need to have two things: clarity in vision, and number two, clarity in terms of how you're going to communicate that vision. Now, there are 4 aspects that every business leader, entrepreneurs need to consider in designing their business model. Resilience. After the big reset, 2020, right, you need to have to look at your resilience of your business. Meaning, in terms of resilience, is that you're able to overcome every shift in the economy. And you're going to see that in the next decade a few times at least, right? And in order for you to be able to ride those waves that's going to come, you need to have a short-term plan, a mid-term plan, and a long-term plan. And the most important takeaway that you have to have is that even if you have a plan, first of all, you have to have a plan. Once you have these 3 plans, they are living documents. They're not a document that you will just have a plan and then you shelve it somewhere in the cabinet. You have to have a living document, meaning that, which brings us to our next point, our external business environment. Our external business environment has changed dramatically. 2019, nobody cared 2 hoots about face masks, hand sanitizers, washing your hands, social distancing. Nobody cared. If you had a nasi kandar line somewhere in Penang, everybody's just jam-packed like a can of sardines. Today, you're going to have a lot of people doing some viraling within the market as soon as somebody is too closer than 1 meter. So markets have changed. This external business environment has changed. So you need to look at that in terms of creating your plans as well. Now, this brings us, despite those changes, in every change, there are opportunities, meaning that in those changes, you have to look whether your products can transition into these new changes. They can fill the gap or solve any new problems that have come from these changes. And from that opportunity and that business and environment that you've understood and that plan that you have created, it doesn't end there, because you have to test whether all these assumptions that you've made are correct, are genuine. So in order for you to do that, you need to engage with your stakeholders. And your stakeholders are not just your clients. It includes your suppliers, includes governments, it includes everybody within your ecosystem itself. So you need to engage with them and get their feedback and get their constructive criticism so that you can improve your product. Now, what next? Essentially, ladies and gentlemen, once you've reviewed your plan, you will be able to have a clearer idea whether you're going to divest, invest, expand, or whether you're going to shift altogether. See what Asia did. They went into a lot of food delivery. They went into hospitality. They've actually divested, invested because they changed their plans. So we need to look at our plans and change it accordingly as well. In my business, at least, I divested. I divested into the food and beverage industry. I also divested into a few other industries as well. So divestment is one of the options, but that is actually considering the new current external business environment. I've seen that my customers have changed in terms of their behavior. Like I think most of us here are trainers. 2 years ago, nobody has ever heard of, coaching online, right? Though you could probably find one or two, but most people won't prefer coaching online. But today it's kind of catching on. It's not mainstream yet, but people are actually beginning to warm up to the idea of coaching online, training online, and whatnot, right? So the customer behavior is changing. Policies are changing as well. A lot of people are preferring to work from home. Now you're going to have trainings on effectively communicating through online medium. So you've got that coming up as well. So the external business environment is changing and you're reviewing that alongside as well. Now, when that has changed, as I mentioned, when the external business environment has changed, your products have to change as well. You have to relook at your products. As I mentioned, now that people are cozying up to working from home and communicating through online applications such as Zoom, now you could probably come up with a new product, for example, effective communication through digital media. So that would be one of the new products. So when you're looking at your product, you'll have to look at whether you need to improvise, whether your current products are still relevant, and whether you can innovate into some new products as well. Now, the final, again, the same thing, right? Despite you having understood your external business environment, despite you having had a look at your products, as well as having a fantastic plan that will last you for the next 10 years, right? You still need to engage with your stakeholders. Now, clients and stakeholders provide the best feedback, but as I've experienced in my business experience, coaches, mentors are key as well. Your superheroes are key as well in terms of providing you the feedback that you need. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of what the four aspects that I've mentioned already, in short, flexibility is key for leadership through this pandemic. Perhaps it is the key to sustaining your business throughout the coming decade. The four aspects that I mentioned can be a guide for you as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a business organization leader, as you soldier on for the next 10 years. Thank you very much, Mohd Prasad.
Very good, Prasad. This was, how today's all the speakers, if you look at it, everyone speaks about the vulnerability of a person, of the business, of the environment. And, finally, I think you hit it right on the nail on the head by saying it's flexibility. Because we speak about vulnerability, every speaker spoke about that, not necessarily using